What's up, guys? Wait a second. What's up, guys? Pop 101 here. Today, we get to become Naruto in VR. So let's get started. Now, here we have all 39 of the Trials of the Shinobi weapons. I'll be going over all of them and their abilities. One unique thing to start is the fact that if we spawn two of these, we can actually dent these weapons now thanks to Man's mod, which allows you to deform weapons. Now, I just want to show you guys that real quick, but I'm going to be going through all the weapons right now. First off, Itachi's Anbu sword. Looks pretty great. You can grab from the blade as well as the handle. And the imbue looks like this. Pretty incredible, right? Next up, Asuma's Chakra Blade. Pretty awesome. You press the spell button, it activates, the chakra, I guess. If we spawn an enemy, you can just pierce into them like that. You can turn it on and off, change the grip a couple times, pierce them through the head, the usual. And the imbue looks like this. Pretty awesome, right? We have our lovely bomb kunai, which does have an imbue, although it's not super useful, because all we need to do is throw it, explodes. There's not much else to it. Spawn in a couple enemies. You can customize whether or not it dismembers them, although that's completely up to you. Our chakra blade right here. Our chakra receivers that Pain uses with a little funky imbue. Our chakra saber, where you can grab it at both the handle and the blade. This is what our imbue looks like. Daruyu's cleaver sword, which is probably one of my favorites. I love this imbue. I just think it looks super cool. Probably one of the most advanced weapons that we have, or at least one of the coolest in my opinion. With the animation, we have our Demon Wind Shuriken, which opens up. You can actually imbue it. So why don't we use fire right here. The center of it imbues. I just figured it'd be something kind of cool to add. Not completely necessary, but it gets the job done. And one thing I do want to show you guys is we throw it, right? Now, it does have the fire imbue, which is showing it spin, but the shuriken itself does spin as well and allows it to hit enemies and obviously stops as soon as you grab it. But I think it's really cool. And if we want to use it on an enemy real quick, the aiming is so much better than it was in the previous versions. So if I spawn in this guy, we throw it, it hits him. But if we want to stop time as we throw it, throw it like that, start time again, it hits him, it does what it does, ta-da. Now, Enma's staff right here, it does have an imbue, pretty cool looking, but one super cool feature of it that I just added, so in this update, is if we pull the trigger, it actually extends just like Enma in Naruto. So all you need to do is pull the trigger and it grows. And obviously it wasn't this long before, but let's say you don't believe me, you think this is some clever editing. Well, if you hold the spell button, it actually shrinks too. Oh yeah. So if you want to hit enemies with, I guess a can of tuna, kind of looks like, you can. And of course, all the colliders stay within this. Hey, pal. And then trigger, obviously, to open up. You can customize the speed at which it opens, and you can customize the return speed. So if I just drop this bad boy real quick, after 10 seconds, it will shrink back to normal. So why don't we check our watch real quick, because it should be turning back any second now, like, ta-da! Obviously, we have the Executioner's Blade, and I do want to get two of these guys so I can show you the deformation. Just like this. Hold on. How cool is this? Okay. So yeah, you can deform every single weapon in Trials of the Shinobi. It's probably my favorite thing about it. But obviously, the Executioner's Blade, we can imbue it. This is what the imbue looks like. Pretty sexy, I know. And Hagoromo's 6-pass staff, it does start like this because don't forget, this is the top of it. This is what it looks like. Pretty nice. We have the rings at the bottom right here, and we can also imbue it. This is what the imbue looks like. Pretty cool. And one special feature is we can actually use the gravity slam and lightning slam, all the slam abilities. Just like Hagoromo's 6-pass staff, we have his brother Hamura's staff. This is what the guy looks like, and why don't we use gravity for this time around? This is what it looks like. If we want to spawn an enemy right there, all we need to do is Gravity Slam, they get knocked back. And obviously it floats because it's imbued with gravity. Next up, we have Hanzo's Kusarigama. I am not sure if I'm saying the name right. Also not sure what he's fighting, but you guys see what it does. You can obviously pierce with the length of the blade right here. So, can pierce all the way through them, and using this side, we can slash. So, and this is our imbue. And I guess a more adult version, so basically a triple-bladed scythe. My favorite weapon in this entire pack. We have Hedon's triple-bladed scythe. We spawn an enemy. Now, I spent a long time on this one. It can pierce with every single one of these. So, and of course, the imbue is just as beautiful. Just look at this. Oh, and of course we have this annoying guy right here. Well, my favorite part is you look at his chest, notice when he falls down, you can actually pierce him through every single one of these. Notice the 3 spots right there. And of course, notice the slash damage. You can actually dismember them and slash with this part right here. The Hirame Kare, also known as the butt plug blade, to some of you anyways. Obviously, this is what it looks like. It's quite enormous, actually. And the imbue looks like this. And of course, you know, can slash. There's no pierce damage because that'd be kind of silly, because there's not much of a blade to pierce. But yeah, you can slash and do fun stuff. The Kabutoari axe looks like this right here. If we make a finger, we can actually spin it around. It is a little bit challenging. I guess it can depend on your headset and stuff, but yeah. So I can easily swing it around my finger. And you know, it's an axe that does axey things like that. There's the imbue. Super cool. And the hammer portion of it. Kabutoari hammer looks like this fella right here. Can also stick our finger through that, swing it around. And one of my favorite parts, obviously we can imbue it, but if we spawn a fella right there, we have our gravity slam. Ooh, looks like a double gravity slam since it almost. Now we have Kiba's lightning blade. Press the throw button and it gets imbued with lightning. Press it again to turn it off. But yeah, that is what it looks like. You can pierce with it. It's very cool. Mifune's Kurosawa. Basically a long katana with a very sexy imbue. Oh yeah. Come on, just look at this. Absolutely stunning. The Nuibari, the sewing needle, which it's a very small weapon, and I had to spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to get the colliders to work properly and to not lag or to phase through things. But I gotta say, it turned out very well. We can knock back enemies, and it is one of the few that can knock back, and it can also pierce. Just like that. We can also, as a little fun feature, stick our finger through this, and yes, we can spin it as well, although it is kind of hard because it's basically as big as our finger. Imbue looks like this. The longer version of the chakra receiver, as shown in the Renegon spell, well, which I'll be showing you guys a bit later, looks like this. Pretty cool. And I'm sure you guys all know we have Madara's Gumbai right here. The imbue took a little while to get working, but I did manage to get it to light up right there, which I figured would be a little cool feature. Obviously, you can do the imbue slam. It's one of the few unique things about this. So actually, if we get the gravity, we take this over right here, we remove our fire. It'll slowly turn to gravity, and, well, now the Sword of Nunaboko looks like this right here. It is a very cool weapon, very gigantic, very overpowered, kind of a joke weapon, but I figured why not have it for now. And the imbue looks like this. This was actually an accident how I got it to look like this, but I decided to keep it because honestly, it is super, super cool. And we have Omoi's sword right here. You guys know him, you love him from the Hidden Cloud. The imbue also looks pretty sexy. I mean, come on. Just look at this right here. Now we have our Paralysis Kunai, which, if you notice, the Bomb Kunai looks very similar to this guy right here. So if we spawn that in, just take a look. One is a red tag, which obviously explodes, does a bit of knockback. But this one, it's yellow. So if we spawn in an enemy, why don't we spawn in somebody that's actually trying to fight us? Oh no, she's coming at us. Whatever will we do? Come on, lady. Let's see what you got. We dodge. All we need to do is touch her, and she gets paralyzed. And she obviously tripped over him. But, I think she actually died. She's not even moving. We spawn in another one. You can also throw it. And the second it hits or pierces them, they get paralyzed. After a couple seconds, they get back up. Come on, lady. There you go. They get back up. But you can obviously customize how long it takes for them to be frozen. And their speed when frozen too. Now we have Naruto's kunai. Looks pretty sexy, I know. Finger can obviously go around this, spin around it. Super cool. We spawn in an enemy, obviously. We can do slashing and piercing damage. And if we press the spell button, it gets imbued with lightning, which obviously pierces them. It has the chance to electrocute them just like this. Ta-da! And something you guys have been waiting for, Minato's teleporting kunai. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So all you need to do to activate it is throw it, press the spell button or the trigger, and you'll teleport directly to it. But hear me out. You press the spell button, you teleport to the location. But what I have it set up for right now is if you pull the trigger, you teleport to the location, and you automatically hold the item. Now, this makes it a lot more realistic, especially when you're fighting a bunch of enemies. Like, for example, let's say I want to fight this guy right here, and I really want to get him mid-air. Just like Minato, you hold it, you use the Rasengan and everything. I mean, come on. How incredible is that? Next up, Sasuke's shurikens. Obviously, they look pretty badass, just like this. And if you press the spell button, they get imbued with electricity. Here we have the Samehada. All you need to do is kill a certain amount of enemies, and it will evolve. You need to kill 10 for the first stage, and a couple more for the second. You hear the noise, and this is our second stage, where it has started coming out, and now we can do slash damage, just like that, on any side of this right here. So that is 2, 3. I'm just going to keep going until, and our final stage, the fully evolved and opened Samehada, where the mouth is actually opened up too. You can slash with literally any side of this thing. So if we spawn in a couple enemies, cut them in half, just like that. And you know, it is incredibly overpowered, but it is such a fun weapon to use. Now we have the Sword of Kusanagi, Sasuke's sword right here. All we need to do is press the spell button and it gets electrocuted. Sasuke's Susanoo sword. I know you guys saw it open up. Yeah, it's pretty cool. This is probably better when we're in our gigantic form. So why don't we actually do that? So if we select the expansion jutsu, don't worry, I'm going to be going through all of these in just a little bit. But just for the purposes of this, since it's a gigantic weapon, why don't we grab this bad boy right here, and this is what it'll look like. Yeah, so that's basically it. Now we have our Senbon, which I do plan on making a pouch for these guys eventually. But for now, can spawn in an NPC. You know what, why don't we spawn in somebody that's going to attack us too? All we need to do is pierce them. They get paralyzed, just like that guy right there. And of course, there's Senbon, we can throw them, so... Okay, lady. Oh, looks like I missed. Well, right through the heart, too. It's extremely brutal, and probably one of my favorite throwing weapons. Next up, we have the Shibuki. Now, this one doesn't have an imbue, but just be prepared, guys. With this, you can completely customize how it dismembers or whether it dismembers or not. So basically, as long as you reach a certain velocity, which you guys can customize, you can explode enemies, so... Oh no, it didn't work. Well, how about if we try it just a little bit harder? Oh, I guess he hit my weapon with enough force. So, you can customize the force, the requirement, basically everything. All you need to do is go up and give our Shiki Saiken right here, and we can imbue it. This is what our imbue looks like. It is pretty awesome looking, and it does the lightning abilities on collision. So yeah, pretty awesome. Shisui's Tanto can grab the blade. Pretty cool. It's one of my favorites for throwing at weapons because it's honestly just super easy. This is what it looks like, and if we imbue it, this is our imbued Shisui Tanto right here. And of course, if we want to throw it, I'd love grabbing it by the blade and literally just chucking at enemies like that. Don't mind if I do, pal, and... Ooh, Yeah, I think he's pretty dead. Dry as stone swords, which he used right before he gave his life. And the imbue looks like this. Pretty cool. These super vibrato lightning release swords look like this. These are Killer Bee's weapons. You can grab the entire blade, and it has a unique ability. If you pull the trigger, you can literally just go up and down the entire thing. None of the other weapons do this. I figured this one was probably a good one, just because of how close these are in size. All you need to do is press the spell button. It activates with a lightning release just like this, which, you know, you hit an enemy, does the lightning attack. The Sword of the Thunder God, which is used by Toby Roma. All you need to do is grab it, spawn it in, and press the spell button to activate it. Does lightning attacks on collision. Very, very cool. And of course, can obviously pierce and do lightning attacks when you hit enemies. And last but not least, for the current weapons, there will of course be more added. We have Toby Rama's sword, which I think it looks absolutely fantastic. We can grab every part of it. You can actually imbue it too. And guys, come on. This just looks awesome. But guys, I think it does it for the weapons. Time to look at all the jutsu or spells. Alright guys, we are back in the Chunin exam arena where I'm going to be showing you guys all of the Trials of the Shinobi spells. So for this one, we're going to spawn in a couple enemies because I think it's only fitting. And I think we should start off with the Rasengan first. So basically, you get an enemy coming at you. They're trying to fight you. You pull the trigger, we get our beautiful looking Rasengan. And you can knock enemies back. It is very, very easy to do. They get knocked back depending on how much force you actually put into it. So the more force, the more they get knocked back. And it goes doubly the same with the giant Rasengan, which knocks them back even further, even more powerful. Although that one, it was a light little touch. Now if I spawn in a couple of dummies, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So I think 5 should probably be good. We make sure to select the Rasengan, and if we imbue it with fire, so we can actually start with fire first and imbue it, we get our lava or our orange Rasengan, which knocks enemies back. That was just a little tap, but it does a little fire imbue on them. I figured it'd be very cool to add since it's something that I've never seen before, although I've never seen Naruto in virtual reality anyways. Next up, if we imbue it with gravity, we have our magnet Rasengan, which does do a little gravity attack and makes enemies float and do all fun stuff too. But that isn't the coolest one. For me, honestly, I love them all, but I really do like using, let's see, the lightning. Now we get Boruto's Wind Rasengan. I think this just looks absolutely stunning. And obviously, you hit him, you knock him back. That guy got in the crossfire, but that guy gets imbued with lightning. I just want to let you guys know I do plan on removing all these particles and the lightning ability from that and the gravity ability from this as soon as I can. Blade Sorcery doesn't allow that at the moment. But while those are the 4 cool Rasengans I've added, we have a couple more that I want to show you. So if we select the Rasengan in both hands, super cool, right? Well, trigger, normal Rasengan, trigger and grip, we have our giant Rasengan. Just look at that. But if we merge them together, we get Asura's Rasengan, these rotating Rasengan orbs. And if we throw it, it explodes, knocks all the enemies back, does a cool little explosion on the ground. Ta-da! You guys saw that little poof. Now the thing I just added, I actually removed the Rasen Ringu, and I turned it into, if we merge the Rasengan and the Rasen Shuriken, we have our Rasen Ringu right here, which I feel is a bit more fitting and looks pretty dope. All we need to do is go back and boom. Now, of course, all of the values and all of these spells are completely customizable. You can customize the knockback and everything associated with this. Boom. Oh, looks like I missed one. And you guys get the idea. And I did just show you guys the Rasen Shuriken, so why don't I show you that a bit more? Hold the trigger, we get our lovely Rasen Shuriken, which lets us knock enemies back on collision, just like that. And, well, the fun part. Boom. Hey, and I caught him too. That's pretty awesome. But obviously the Rasen Shuriken, you can throw it, it explodes, knocks enemies back, does some cool particles. Very cool, you can even see the little burn. But, hear me out guys. if we imbue it with fire, we get our very own lava Rasen Shuriken. Boom, our fire explosion. Wait, there's more. If we imbue it with our Renegon, which I will go over next, we get our Tailed Beast Rasen Shuriken. Oh yeah. This is probably my favorite looking out of all of them. So I'm going to spawn in, let's go 5 enemies this time. And we can jump and... Beautiful. Now I do want to let you guys know it is customizable in the Jason, you know, the force, the knockback, whatever. You can also customize whether the Rasen Shuriken actually dismembers all the enemies on collision. So basically when it explodes, just like the Shibuki, they will get knocked into little itty bitty pieces. Alright, but I just showed you guys we have our Renegon, which does have a couple cool abilities, just like that. So, respawn it, enemy, pull the trigger, you can shoot out Jigen's chakra rods, which obviously gets pretty brutal. Now if you pull the trigger and then the grip, you spawn in his long chakra rod, which I typically use as a bat, because this thing is really long and obviously you can knock enemies back really far with it. One cool thing is we can grab these, can also throw them, they go in whatever direction you're pointing. Same with these guys right here. My aim sucks, I know. But there are a crap ton of abilities, so if we spawn in a few guys right there, we select the Renegon on both hands, we merge it, we get these little particles, and... Almighty push. But wait, there's more. We spawn in a couple of these guys, oh no, they're getting a bit far away from you. What do? Merge and pull together. The universal pull. And of course, while they're here like this, you can also do the almighty push. It works on enemies dead or alive. Oh no, you wanted this girl to fight with you. Well, what do? So what do? You make sure your Renegon spell is selected, you go to them, you pull the trigger, you notice there was that audio. He was once dead, but now he revives as an ally. I mean, he was already an ally, but you know, you guys get it. Now, probably one of the coolest features of the Renegon is the Amino Tijakar. So while you're holding it, if you pull the grip and the spell button, you swap places with your enemy or whatever creature you're looking at, and it makes you automatically face them. So let's say you're fighting an enemy. So let's kill him real quick and spawn in a bad guy. Ooh. As long as your Renegon spell is selected, hold the trigger and spell button, press it as soon as he's about to attack, or she. You swap places, just like when Sasuke was fighting Momoshiki. Hey. Ladies, stay down. But you guys get the idea. And I know you guys are saying, oh, that's so lame, Pie Pop. Come on, you can do better than that. Well, you're actually not wrong, I can. So, if your Renegon spell is selected in one hand, select the Chidori in the other, which looks like this. I'll get into it in just a minute. You merge it together, you get these little particles right here. You pull it apart, and you get wrapped in Sasuke's lightning cloak. So if you guys see the lightning right here, we are a ton faster, we can jump higher, and our punches are quite a bit stronger, so, you know. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. It's not even fair. So basically, I mean, I guess this can be considered not just Sasuke's, but can also be considered A's lightning cloak as well. But yeah, so you merge it again to release it. And last but not least, one thing I want to show you guys is the Renegon Imbue. It's the final ability. So basically, all you need to do is if you don't want to kill them and pull the trigger to use Rene Rebirth, you just need to bonk them real quick, do damage to them, and they become an ally. Now, you can also tell by if we look at this guy, look at his eyes right there, and her eyes are all black and covered. You know what? I think we're going to be using the Renegon. What do you think, guys? What's going to happen with this? And yeah, I'd say he's fairly dead. And, you know, I'm a big nerd, as I'm sure you guys know by me making all this. My favorite thing to do is we get this guy, we knock him down. Why don't we flip him over real quick? Then I can show you just a little bit easier. Come on. Okay. So you guys know when Naruto was fighting Pain, well, and he gets pinned, you can literally recreate that entire thing yourself. Except, you might not want to stick it through his throat because that's not very accurate. But yeah, you can also customize the time at which these despawn. So you can literally play with this for hours and hours and hours. And, well, they won't go away. And probably the best part about the Chidori is now you pull the trigger. Oh, great. You look at it. You do it again. Now it's the Onyx Chidori. You do it a third time. It's Kakashi's Purple Lightning. But the best part about all of it is, let's say, I don't know, you want Purple Lightning and normal. They're both independent of each other. So for example, you can literally do any combination that you want. Now for those of you that love mixing up your gameplay, this is it for you. And notice, as we merge, everything is still normal. Spawn this fella right here. Chidori. You can literally stick your hand into enemies. Every time it collides with them, it does electrocute them. But, very, very cool. Some other cool features. We can now imbue weapons with the Chidori, which automatically electrocute the enemies on collision. Just like that right there. Hey, pal. Ta-da. Very cool. Now, some of the other cool features. You guys already saw the lightning cloak. Well, one thing I really want to show you is... You know what? Why don't we spawn a couple enemies for this? We have our Chidori Senmon, where we can shoot out all these lightning needles. All these Senmon enemies. They look exactly like this. They electrocute the enemy on collision. Now, yes guys, you can customize literally everything about this. How fast they shoot out, how many shoot out at once, the range at which they shoot out, literally everything. It's extremely overpowered. Probably one of the most fun things for me. But keep in mind, it does get a little bit laggy depending on how many you guys are shooting out at once, because let's be real. It spawns a single weapon every single time, so you guys get the idea. Ooh, right in the butt. And a little feature of the Chidori. If it's selected on your hand, all you need to do is grab an enemy, pull the trigger, and they instantly get electrocuted, which also makes it very easy for you to lift them up, and, I guess, shock them whenever you feel like. Now, a very obvious ability that I probably could have shown you guys first is our Shadow Clone Jutsu. So you pull the trigger, ta-da, we spawn a guy, they spawn in a puff of smoke, and when you kill them, they die in a cloud of smoke too. So you guys get that. But one thing I want to show you is we actually spawn in a bunch of enemies like this. Oh no, I'm getting outnumbered. Whatever will I do? I'm flying, but that's not part of it. You pull the trigger, you spawn in an ally. They all have the shinobi weapons, so all of the weapons that I've already shown you, they get to use. Pretty cool, but let's say that's not enough. If we merge it together, we pull our hands apart, completely customizable, multi-shadow clone jutsu. As many allies as you want spawn all around you to help you fight. So, honestly, if I wanted, let's grab this. Let's take his weapon. All of these guys are helping me fight, and, I can obviously fight myself too. But it's just super cool and so much fun to use. But, guys, for me, this is actually starting to lag my game a little bit. There's so many. So why don't we clean up the trash with our Atomic Dismantling Jutsu. Any enemy around it, they get instantly vaporized. You can customize whether or not it disintegrates their items too. But, ta-da. You can get one, or, since we're in a group right here, we can actually get a couple, depending on how close they are. But one thing I did for the base version of this is if we merge it, we shoot it out, a much larger one that disintegrates all the items and the enemies alike. Oh, that is incredibly overpowered. And if we select the Rasen Shuriken again, one thing I do want to show you guys is not only can we obviously knock enemies back with that, but there is a very cool feature of one of these. So if we select the Amaterasu, obviously it shoots out fire. I'm going to get into that in a sec. But if we merge the Amaterasu with the Rasen Shuriken, we get the Amaterasu Rasen Shuriken, whatever it's actually called. And we throw it out. It explodes, it lights enemies on black fire. It's insanely cool and overpowered. Now, one ability that I love so much is our Kamui. So obviously, enemies are fighting us, whatever will we do? So all we need to do is select the Kamui spell right here, pull the trigger, and notice they hit us. Well, once we pull the trigger, all their attacks will phase through us. So whenever you see these particles, come on. Come on, pal. Oh, can't even hit me, can you? Oh. So all you really need to do is pull the trigger and they literally cannot hit you at all. You can even phase through them. Notice, oh no, we can't walk through this. Well, we can walk through it if we have Kamui on. And last but not least, we have this lovely wall right here. Very cool. Well, with Kamui on, we can literally phase right through the wall. And one of my favorite features about the Kamui is the fact that when it's on, obviously we can't have our weapons phase through. That is one of Obito's flaws. But, you know, it does make sense. One cool thing that we can do, actually, is we can still grab enemies while in the Kamui state. Now, I might want to turn this off, but at the same time, for now, it's a cool little bug. One thing I might consider doing is actually letting you be able to phase enemies through the walls with you. Now, at the moment, they can't, but for the future, I definitely think that's a very cool addition to Trials of Shinobi and the Kamui. And last but not least, aside from phasing through things, you grab an enemy, you pull the trigger, you literally send them to the Kamui dimension. He's gone. Oh, this guy? Gone. And this last one. Say your prayers. She gone. For those of you that love Sasuke and Boruto, or I guess love shurikens, here we go. These shuriken spawner right here. Pull the trigger, literally just spawn in as many shurikens as you want. They can pierce enemies. You press the spell button, they get imbued with lightning. Now my aim sucks, so I have to get pretty close in order to be able to hit them. But they can obviously pierce. And one thing I want to show you guys is just like the Demon Wind Shuriken, they also spin. Yeah, she gone. One of my absolute favorite abilities, we have our expansion jutsu. You pull the trigger, notice the audio, our hands get gigantic. This is the partial expansion jutsu used by Choji. Yeah, they get knocked back a ton. So one of my favorite parts about this is the fact that you hit enemies, there's nothing. But as soon as you equip this, you hit enemies, you get a ton of knockback damage, you can easily just blow them away. You can of course still pick up enemies while in this state. So, I guess we got a weapon. If you pull the trigger while holding the weapon also becomes gigantic. I know, I've been trying to keep this mod as close to the real Naruto verse as I can, but I wanted to keep this in. I figured it was a fun little thing to have. And of course, if we grab this lady right here, come here, dude. You can grab her by the head, grab her by the neck. I normally say either the neck or the shoulder like this. It probably looks the best like this. You can easily just chuck them. Oh no, we're getting attacked. Yeet them in the next century. I will mention, it is slightly buggy at the moment. Your arms do get stuck a little, but one quick fix, grab a weapon real quick, your hands go back to normal. My favorite part about this is we can use the full body expansion jutsu. So just make sure to select expansion jutsu in both hands, merge it together, pull apart, and look at that. We are gigantic. We can also use our giant hands in this state too, but we can knock enemies over. We can't pick enemies up at the moment. I'm still trying to figure out how to get that working, but we can easily just knock out enemies. And we can merge it again to shrink. Hey, you guys can see me now, right? Well, boom. Can you see me now? Look at how big I am compared to all these little guys right here. Hey, pals. One of my favorite things to do is if we use our gravity, we can also pick enemies up just like this. And you'll notice, as soon as you grab them, they do fall, which kind of stings. But if we use our hands, we can actually just keep knocking them up. And it's just a lot of fun. Hey, come on, lady. I'm trying to record a video here. Now, another feature of this that I'm not going to be showing you guys is the fact that you can customize whether or not your punches actually dismember enemies. So you knock them out, they get dismembered. It is very overpowered, very, very cool. Oh, now that was a spin if I've ever seen one. I think it's about time we use our Amaterasu. And we can use an enemy. All we do is pull the trigger, let go, shoot out these lovely black flames that burn every enemy. Yes, they do turn off eventually because they'd get kind of annoying if they didn't. I know, it's not realistic. Sorry, guys. But you spawn in an enemy. Let's just take a weapon real quick. You pull the trigger. You imbue it with the Amaterasu. It's just like Sasuke does, cloaking his weapon in it. You hit an enemy with it. They get imbued with the Amaterasu themselves. They get lit on black fire for a little bit less time. Very cool, very overpowered. Honestly, I love the way this looks with the black, white, and the red flames. Super, super cool. Now, one cool feature about it, I already showed you one of the abilities with the merge with the Rasen Shuriken. But if we merge it, we get this little black right here. And why don't we spawn in a couple enemies, because this is where it gets cool. So yeah, they fell. It's whatever. Select it, merge it. A giant scope Amaterasu, which lights the entire area on black fire, and, well, all these enemies on fire as well. Now, along with the Amaterasu, one of the other famous abilities of Sasuke and the Uchihas, Fireball Jutsu. Pull the trigger, you let go. That is what a fireball looks like. So pull the trigger, obviously it explodes, it lights them on fire, super cool. Just like the Amaterasu, while you're holding the weapon, you hold the trigger, gets lit on fire. You hit an enemy, come on. You hit them, they get lit on fire as well. Very overpowered, very cool. Is if we merge them together. Now, I don't know if you guys can actually tell by that, so I'm going to do it again. We can actually use the Majestic Flame Destroyer and shoot out 3 at the exact same time. So you guys saw it right there. Lights the area on fire, 3 projectiles shoot out. How cool is that? I believe that is all the current spells and jutsu in Trials of the Shinobi. I will be, of course, updating them and adding new ones as time progresses. So definitely make sure to stay tuned for that. But now let's go to our maps. And the first map on this list is the upper part of Amigakure. So basically, you guys remember where Pain and all the Akatsuki members live? Yeah. That is where we can now fight. And yes, every single thing has collision, so if I shoot out these rocks, notice that I actually hit everything. Now, I'm not actually in-game doing this because it's much easier showing you these maps. Also, it's a ton of fun just to randomly yeet myself all the way down. There's a separate section right down here where we can fight, and one more. Now, even if you guys manage to fall off, you will automatically be teleported right back here. Ta-da! And there we go. Notice we have, of course, our rack, books, and a map right here. That also lets us transport to any of the other places we want. So right now we are currently at the Amigakure. This is what it looks like. Next up, we're going to the Forest of Dead Trees. And we have now entered. Notice our normal stuff right here. And I'm sure you guys remember this. I believe it was the battle between Kakashi, Ino, and a bunch of the guys fighting against Kakuzu. But if we zoom out real quick, you guys will be able to tell there's a ton of space to fight. It is a very, very large map compared to how little itty-bitty our player is. And of course, everything, no matter what, has collisions too. And might I add that they are quite perfect. Next, why don't we go to our final stadium? I just want to let you guys know I did make all of these thumbnails by hand, so I hope you guys like them. I did try to make them as similar to the base game as possible. I'm sure you guys know this, the final stadium. This is where Boruto, and all the other characters fought so that they could become Chunin. Everything has collisions, obviously. But this one has something unique. Aside from spectators, like all these famous people, if we go to our map, we got all of our normal stuff. I do want to mention that we do have this lever right here. So if you go down, it turns on Naruto music. Pull it back up, it pauses exactly where it is. So all of these weapon racks have them. I just want to let you guys know because I'm not going to turn it on now because of copyright issue. But this guy right here is very cool. This is the only one with a secondary lever, which actually shows the destroyed final stadium. Now, it took a while to get this working, but I gotta say, I think it turned out fantastic. And let's go up. Come on. Hit it one time. There we go. Back to normal. Notice our character didn't clip through the floor or anything, so you can turn it on and off literally as many times as you want. The God Tree. Now, this is probably one of the most funky maps. Notice this fellow right here, and I decided to do a nice red skybox to simulate the Tsukuyomi. I figured it would be kind of fun. We have all these right in here, a lever for the music, and, well, yeah, it's a pretty large arena. All the enemies spawn around this thing right here. Every part of it has collisions, as I'm sure you guys know, even these little branches, just for fun. And yes, you can climb at the way top, and you can actually get up there. Although I highly recommend you use a fly mod or a climbing mod that helps you. The Hidden Sand Village. Now this one isn't so much of a village as it is an arena. Basically, we can fight on this area right here. All the enemies spawn here. That is the only place that they spawn. And for this one, I combined two separate Sand Village maps. So we have our base one right here. And then on the outside, I upscaled it a bit just to add a little bit more for the scenery. Like this guy right here. But yeah, that's basically it. And of course, as you guys know, literally everything has collisions because what map would it be if it didn't have collisions on quite literally everything? The Tenchi Bridge. Now, honestly, guys, I can't really remember what happened here or when it was, but keep in mind, you can fight enemies on this bridge. They spawn down at that corner and down at this one right here. If you fall below into the water, you get teleported back up here or killed, depending on what you are. And of course, our music lever right there. And just for fun, obviously the bridge has perfect collisions. Every single one of these poles has collisions, even these guys right here. And at the very top. So you can climb on them if you guys really want to. Chunin Exam Arena. Now this was the very first map I updated to U11. I updated it and I increased the performance a ton while doing so. It's probably one of my favorite maps, obviously the Chunin Exam Arena right here. All the enemies spawn in the bushes or right behind these trees just for a little bit of fun. But yeah, it's a nice little arena, not too big, not too small, and great for fighting a ton of shinobi. And last but not least, we have the Hidden Leaf Village. Here we have the Hidden Leaf Village. Keep in mind, everything has collisions, and I do want to let you guys know that despite me only showing, 7 or 8 of these maps, there are 11 or 12 of them. I do need to update a couple more for the next version of Trials of the Shinobi, when Trials of the Shinobi 1.5 comes out, but here we have the stone faces. This is literally the Hidden Leaf Village with everything that you could possibly want. There's even a mini Chunin Exam Arena right there. And there's a little spot way in the back if you guys want to head out there. I'm not going to tell you what it is. But this is the first and only Blade and Sorcery map at the moment to have missions. So you go in here to start, and that is when your first mission begins. I have a video showing you guys exactly how to do that, but I'm not going to go through it right now because it does contain spoilers. But I think that's it. I've gone over 39 weapons, 11 or 12 different spells, and 8 or 9 of the most incredible Naruto maps you guys will ever see. So I have spent the last 2.5 to 3 years working on a Naruto in VR mod called Trials of the Shinobi for Blade and Sorcery. If you guys like this mod, you like the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton. Don't forget, there is a link below where you can actually get the mod. Thanks for watching.